It's already being called one of the summer's hottest reads. Into the Water is the latest release from author Paula Hawkins. Her novel, The Girl on the Train, broke records, as we know, selling 20 million copies and was made into a film. Now she's back with a new novel of psychological suspense. It is set in a riverside town in England that's dealing with the mysterious drowning deaths of local women. Paula Hawkins joins me now. Good to have you in studio this morning. There seems to be a theme with The Girl on the Train and Into the Water with memory. Why was that an important theme for you to explore?
I'm fascinated by memory, by the way we rely implicitly on our memories, and yet they can often prove to be deeply unreliable, particularly memories of childhood, which the memories of experiences that go to form the people we become. We can often discover later in life that things we thought we remember very clearly aren't actually true.
It's so true. You know, the stories that I know there's a story that my mom has told me so many times that I believe it to be my truth.
Absolutely. You can insert yourself into stories that your parents have told you, believing that you were actually there, and it becomes your truth if you tell that story for long enough.
Exactly.
And then you can discover later, actually, that you weren't even in the picture yet.
And that's what's so incredible about the way that you tell stories and the unraveling of that, and especially through the voices of different people. In this book in particular, I think you have 11 different voices telling their story. And it's similar, you had less in The Girl on the Train. Why does that style suit the way to tell this story?
Well, I've created this community in this little town in the north of England where everyone, it seems, is keeping a secret for some reason or another. So I wanted the reader to be able to get into the heads of all these strange, secretive people and to be able to follow their thoughts a bit. So we've got, yes, this cast of characters. It's like a chorus of voices. So I'm hoping the reader's going to feel that they're amongst them and they've got to decide who they trust, who they believe.
It is true. You do feel like you're part of this whole group. And I found myself, especially in the beginning, flipping back and forth to see who was connected. And then when it connected for me, it was one of those moments I was like, this is how everybody is functioning.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy when I'm reading, when you start to make those connections and it all suddenly comes together and then you're right in the story.
Yeah, it is. It's a good moment as the reader. Okay, now I hear that you started writing romantic comedies.
I did.
Okay, so how did you switch to the mystery genre?
The romantic comedy, the first one I wrote was actually commissioned. I was asked to write it. So it wasn't my idea and it wasn't my character. But I did it, and then they asked for another one, and I wrote 4 like that. But, I kept... The storylines were getting darker and darker, and I kept doing more and more terrible things to all the characters. So it became clear to me that really romantic comedy wasn't my genre, and that I needed to try something different. And the story of The Girl on the Train and the character of Rachel was kind of living in my head, so I felt like I needed to tell that story.
Now, you've spoken before about, The Girl on the Train. Before that was released, you were struggling financially, and now it's sold millions and millions of copies. So what has this transition been like for you?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a nice transition.
Pretty good.
It's been a great couple of years. It's been sometimes a bit overwhelming, and, it can make you feel a bit vulnerable and exposed, but it's a great experience to have. So this is what people dream about having, so no complaints, really.
And with The Girl on the Train, I would imagine that the pressure to put out another book was pretty intense. Was it for you, or did you just sort of relax into it?
I put a lot of pressure on myself, actually. I wanted to get it done. I wasn't really feeling it from my publishers or anything. I was very keen to get the next book done. I had this idea in my head. I wanted to make a more ambitious book, a more complex book. And yes, of course, there was a voice in my head saying, and there's all these people waiting to see what you're going to do, which is nerve-wracking, but it's also a good thing. You know you have an audience. You know that people are going to want to read the book. So, but yeah, an added pressure.
I'm always curious about people's writing styles. Where do you write? Where's your place?
I'm really boring. Yeah, I just sit in my office at home. I treat it as it's my job. So I go and I sit down at my desk and I write in the morning. Usually, hopefully, until about mid-afternoon, and then I run out of steam, and then I'll read or research or do things like that.
And the film rights for this book, what have already been...
have been optioned, yes, by DreamWorks, who made...
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They're just talking to writers at the moment, so I'm excited to see what they do with it.
How much control do you have in that process?
I'm going to be a little bit more involved this time. I'm consulting. I'll be talking to the writers as well, and so hopefully I'll be watching as it all develops.
I think that'd be such an interesting moment for you to see what the words on the page go to the screen.
It's a very different thing. The film is a different animal, and you've got to tell a story in a completely different way. So it's exciting.
Any actors or actresses in your head that you think that you'd want to play? Not yet?
I'm not casting anything yet, no.
And what's next for you? Do you have another character in mind?
I have a couple of characters that I'm thinking about, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet. So I'm still mulling over in my head. I need to live with them for a little while before I decide where I'm going with them.
I love that idea. Well, it is a fantastic read, as I told you off camera, totally up my alley. Into the Water. Here's the book. Paula, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Is the book here? Read it. It's really good. It's the hottest summer read. We'll be back right after this.